What is up, everybody? It is your boy, Pigskin Pete. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday. Happy start to the Christmas season. And last, and certainly not least, and also more importantly, happy college football rivalry week. That is right. In my humble opinion, and that's all it is my opinion, and I'm entitled to it, as you are yours, this is the best weekend in all of organized American sports. I would even go so far to say the best weekend in all of organized sports around the world. Now, if you're from Asia, Africa, Australia, Europe, South America, and even some of the countries in North America, Canada and Mexico, you might disagree. And you can feel free to do so. That's your opinion. But there is nothing in organized sports that compares to rivals in college football. And so it'll be on full display this weekend. It started last night with the Egg Bowl, which was a very entertaining game if you didn't get to see that. Anyway, I'm going to do things a little bit differently this year. I've been doing YouTube for 6 years, and I feel like I'm recycling the same thing over and over with the trash talk. Look, man, trash talking the Gamecocks for me, it's not a hobby. It's more of a part-time job. And it was a part-time job before I ever picked up a cell phone and started talking into it, or ever went up in my studio and talked into a microphone. There's people that are Gamecock fans, there are people that are Clemson fans around this state. They've been doing it as a part-time job since they were little wee people, their entire lives. But I'm going to do something different this year. I'm going to talk to you seriously for a minute, and then we'll get down to brass tacks. How's that sound? Good. Look, I don't think people outside of the state of South Carolina, especially people that grew up in this state, were born and raised in this state, really understand the importance of this game every year. I don't think they do. And there's really no way I can explain it to you. You have to have lived it. It's sort of like what's happening in Alabama. Look, I know what you're about to say. That's ridiculous, Pete. The Iron Bowl is the Iron Bowl. It's one of the biggest, most heated rivalries in all of college football. Yeah, from a national perspective, I guess you could say that. But the two states have one thing in common, a very important thing in my opinion. You have two states where college football is absolute king. There's no professional sports teams in Alabama. There's no professional sports teams in the state of South Carolina. I know you're about to tell me, well, what about the Carolina Panthers, Pete? Two states, one team, this and that. I'm a Panthers fan. But look, Charlotte's in North Carolina. All right, yeah, I know they do the two states, one team thing. You want to know why they do that? They do that because Charlotte is a small market, and whoever started that team knew immediately that they needed the support of the state of South Carolina for that thing to work. And God bless them, they wrote me in. One of the other reasons they wrote me in is because the very first season they played, where'd they play? Did they play in Columbia? No. Did they play in Charlotte? No. Did they play in any other city in the state of North Carolina? No. They played in Death Valley and Clemson. So they got a lot of Clemson people, myself included, roped right into that. But in reality, there is no South Carolina professional sports team. The same way that there's no Alabama professional sports team. So college football is king here. It doesn't matter look, in first grade, our teacher made us on rivalry week pledge allegiance to either the South Carolina Gamecocks or the Clemson Tigers. Even these poor kids from out of state didn't know what was going on. They might have just moved here from Ohio like every other person from Ohio. And they're sitting around going, I don't really care about South Carolina or Clemson, but guess what? They had to choose. And I guarantee you that they're probably 43 years old today like me, and they're still a fan of whatever team they pledge allegiance to that day. Now, we've all got family members. Well, if you're like me, you've got family members, affiliations to the university. Hell, I'm married to a Tiger. Thank God. Thank God I didn't marry a Gamecock. My life would be hell, even more hell than it is right now. But we've all got family members. They probably came over your house yesterday, right? If you're a Gamecock fan, the chances that you had a Clemson Tiger come over your house yesterday for Thanksgiving dinner are about 90%, and vice versa. But on this weekend, on this day, I don't care if you're families. I don't care if you're a friend. We ain't friends until Sunday. You know that. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't at me on Twitter. You ain't my friend till Sunday. That's how much it means down here. So get it through your heads. Anybody, all you Northerners, all you Westerners, in any other state, get it through your head. This is one of the most hated and heated rivalries in all of sports. Now, I'm glad that with what's going on around the country right now, you've got these rivalries being picked apart and in jeopardy of not happening. Oklahoma State, that's an absolute travesty that thing is on the brink of never happening again. Now, I think they'll probably get it together eventually. With the Pac-12 disbanding, the threat of Washington State, Oregon State, these rivalries going away, I hope they do the right thing. Now, credit to both athletic directors at both the University of South Carolina and at Clemson. They said, over my dead body will this rivalry go away. No matter what happens with the conference realignment, no matter what Clemson's future is in the ACC, no matter anything, this rivalry will continue as long as it's on my watch. I'm loosely quoting the athletic director at Graham Neff. The players for both of these football teams, and things have changed. Things have changed over the years, right? Because it used to be, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and before that especially, most of the players on both these teams came from Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. It was very regional. Now, things have obviously changed. Both teams recruit nationally. I mean, Clemson's got players from I don't know how many different states. Out west, Texas, the Midwest, the Northeast, all over. And these guys don't really understand what this game means to this state. They might hear rumbles of it when they get there, but guess when they really learn? This week. That's when they really learn. And they're going to find out if any player on either one of these teams hasn't participated in this particular game, the Palmetto Bowl, they're going to learn real quick. Because the loser of this game, they're going to hear about that not only on Sunday, not only next week, not only next month, not only next year. They're going to hear about it for the rest of their natural lives. That's how important it is. So shout out. I'm going to say one nice thing to the Gamecocks. Shout out to all the lifelong, die-hard Gamecock fans who ride and die with that crap program 365 days a year for the rest of their life, because it can't be easy. And the same goes for the Clemson Tiger fans. Now it's time. Now it's time to talk to little brother of this state, the Gamecocks. You've always been little brother. You'll always be little brother. You know it, and I know it, and anybody with a pair of eyeballs that have watched more than 5 seconds of college football in their life knows it. This isn't really even a rivalry. It's a rivalry because, again, I'll give one more credit to the Gamecocks. No matter how crappy that football program is, today, tomorrow, and throughout history, they do ride and die with their team. That's the only credit I give them. That's the only reason it's a rivalry. South Carolina tomorrow is needing a win just to make a bowl. And that place will sell out, no doubt. It'll be rocking, it'll be loud, it'll be hostile. They'll show up like they show up every single year that Clemson comes into town. And why is that? Little brother complex. Somebody said the other day on Twitter, look, I'll give them credit for being diehard, but they are the dumbest fans on the planet. They are the absolute dumbest fans that exist in sports, Gamecock fans, and delusional too. The other day on Twitter, somebody said, this is Clemson's Super Bowl every year. Coming from a team that hasn't accomplished crap, zip, zero, zilch in over 100 years. And they go, we have accomplished something. We've got a 1969 ACC championship, Pete. I know you're going to say we don't have nothing, but that's something. We at least have one trophy in that case. Does anybody remember? I mean, I'm not a history expert, but when it comes to the Gamecocks, I am. I'm not a history expert, but does anybody remember exactly what was going on in the world in 1969? Yeah, there was a draft. There was a war. Every single able-bodied man between the ages of 18 and 25 was overseas fighting a war, unless you're a draft dodger. But every football player in America was over fighting and or dying in Vietnam. And they claim that as their only legitimate trophy or big win or accomplishment in the history of that crap program. I got another history lesson for you. I'm not a historian or a mathematician, but I can count. I know the easy thing to do is say, Clemson's got 30 more wins in this rivalry, right, than the Gamecocks do, and all the regurgitated things. I'm 43 years old. The chances that they ever pass us in that win total, my grandkids won't see it and all that kind of stuff, which is all true, by the way. But that's low-hanging fruit at this point. But did you know that Clemson has 10 more wins in Columbia against the Gamecocks than the Gamecocks have in the all-time series? And then they go, well, Pete, you need to learn your history because did you know that in the beginning of this rivalry, all the games were played in Columbia? So that's a skewed stat. That stat doesn't matter. Well, of course it matters. Of course it matters. It doesn't matter if every game was played in Columbia. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter whether it's in Clemson, South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. Hell, we could play this thing in Austin, Texas, Los Angeles, California, Toronto, Canada. In any country, in any planet in the universe, Clemson absolutely owns you. They own you recently. They own you historically. They own you in your own crap city. That is a fact, Jack. Write it down, tattoo it on your forehead if you have to. But if you do tattoo it on your forehead, make sure you tattoo it backwards so that when you look in the mirror, it reads correctly. I hope I'm educating some of the non-Clemson South Carolina fans today. They probably didn't even know exactly how embarrassing your record in college football against Clemson is. Not only is your record embarrassing against Clemson, your record against everybody's embarrassing. That's just a fact. And it's like clockwork. Every single year, you hear the same thing. You know, SEC, they beat that conference drum. SEC, we play SEC schedule. We play Clemson, we're in the SEC. Hey, guess what? What's your record against the ACC this year? Clemson doesn't have any non-conference losses this year, do they? Guess who does, though? That's right, South Carolina. Who'd they lose to? An ACC team. Oh, guess what else? Which ACC team did they lose to? North Carolina. By how many touchdowns? 2. I don't have a very good memory, but I do remember briefly that Clemson played North Carolina last week, didn't they? How'd that game turn out? Oh, yeah, Clemson won. Look, it doesn't matter if South Carolina's in the ACC, the SEC, the NFC East, the AFC West. If they're in the Premier League overseas, it doesn't matter what conference they play in, what league they play in. They are crap. They know it, and I know it. And you know it. Spencer Rattler, a pretty good quarterback. I'm not going to lie. But you see, I'm struggling to come up with great players on that team. Spencer Rattler's pretty good. That wide receiver you guys got, XL, I think is what you call him. Of course, piggybacking off of what Clemson calls their defensive end, XT. They're going to call him XL. Apparently, XL has never heard of Nate Wiggins, which is hilarious. Well, you're going to meet him on Saturday. You're going to meet one of the best defensive backs in all of college football on Saturday. And boy, oh boy, did I piss off the Gamecocks the other day when I said Spencer Rattler's not even the top 2 quarterbacks that Clemson's played all year. And XL isn't even the top 2 or 3 receivers that Clemson's played all year. They're out here trying to scratch and claw and find, names to dispute what I said. I said what I said, and I meant what I said. And what I said was true. Jordan Travis, better quarterback than Spencer Rattler. Drake May, better quarterback than Spencer Rattler. It's just a fact. Spencer Rattler, as good as he is going to be running for his life this week. He's going to be running for his life. Then this will be the last thing I say. Last but not least, they always have to have excuses leading into the game because they know they're probably going to lose. I mean, historically, they lose more than they don't. So you already start before the game with the injuries. We got 11 injured offensive linemen. We got somebody on the defense has a hangnail. Another guy's got his butt hurt, a hurt butt. Whatever the case is. Look at the injury reports, man. Clemson's got more injured players in South Carolina right now. And I haven't seen a single Clemson fan running around the internet or anywhere else talking about, well, Clemson's probably going to lose this game because we got all these injured wide receivers. We got, we're down to this offensive lineman and whatever. No. Clemson's injured. Everybody's injured. You're injured. Hell, I'm injured right now. just by talking about it. It doesn't matter how many injuries Clemson has on their team. It doesn't matter how many freshman wide receiver are playing this game. They're still going to beat the absolute brakes off you and embarrass the shit out of you, like they do more times than they don't. And unfortunately for you, it's been a long, disappointing season for Clemson, but it's been an even longer and more disappointing season for the Gamecocks, and that's not going to end this week. You're going to have a disappointing loss to Clemson. Then it's going to be extremely disappointing to know that you're going to miss a bowl game and you won't be able to watch your beloved Gamecocks play until next September. I don't know what your schedule looks like next year, but you do love to open up normally with ACC teams. So you're probably looking, after you don't make a bowl game, you're probably looking at back-to-back losses to ACC teams. Boy, you hate to see it, don't you? All right, everybody. I'll see you this Saturday. Go Clemson, F dem Cox.